in the studio with me is one of Ghana's very own, and this man has played a very important role in the comedy industry, if you want to call it an industry. I mean, he's one of the people that sacrificed a lot for the comedy space, and well, he took a backseat a bit, you know, traveled for a while, discovered a few things about himself, and now he's out here. You know, he's back to Mother Ghana. He's got something special that will be happening that we need to let you know. All right, so guys, David Oscar is my guest in the studio, bro. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, man. Wow.
Yo,
Charlie, you make fine. Yeah, you know, and I'm very, very happy anytime I see you on TV, you know, because I'm one of the people that saw you.
I remember.
You know?
I remember. When
we started, I think that's like a whole conversation for another day, you know, but seeing you on this side, you know, and all the exploits, because I follow you on social media too, and so I can only be proud, you know, that this is somebody I know personally. Yeah. You know, so big up.
We have a big issue in Koforia, man. We lived in Koforia.
Oh yes, of course.
But I'm excited for you as well. You know, I mean, you've gone through a lot. You've seen people doubt you in ways that even you surprises you, because you feel that this is what you've been called for. This is the space where you belong. Certain people even saw you from a point where they felt like you're trying to be where you do not have to be there. But you've proven every single person wrong from all the things that, you know, have been said about you. Sometimes when you sit back from where it all started and where you are right now, do you feel like, yo, you guys didn't even know this?
Sometimes, yeah. You know, because you first have to believe in what you have, even if nobody else believes in that. Because if you believe in what you have, then you can have the impetus to sell it. Yeah. But if you don't believe or you're not confident about what you have, then you cannot even begin to project yourself, you know. So yeah, I get that feeling sometimes that you people, you just didn't know. Yeah. You know. Yeah. But then again, there's also a saying that God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers, you know. So I like to look upon myself as one of the strongest soldiers, as far as, of course, Ghanaian stand-up comedy is concerned, because I believe that I played my little role. You know, I don't want to exaggerate, but I believe that I came in at a point where there was absolutely no space at all for anybody at all to try to hold himself up as a comic, as a stand-up comedian. I mean, backtrack to about 5-6 years ago, none of these boys you see today would have been so confident enough to hold themselves up as stand-up comedians. There was nobody in this space who had enough confidence about Ghanaian stand-up comedy, you know, getting to a certain height where the dominance that was inundated, the system had been so inundated with was basically going to be cut out, you know. I mean, I'm not trying to say we'll take food out of somebody's table, but what happened to 50-50? I mean, we love our Nigerian brothers, you know, and of course I believe they also love us, but at the time there was a certain situation where it was like, because of them, nobody would give us a chance, you know. But I mean, not to talk too much. Fast forward to about 6 years down the line, today you have your stars, you know, your comedy stars, and I believe that most of them also know the sacrifices and I would say the role that I personally played, you know, the investments I made, and so on and so forth. So I'm happy, honestly. I'm really happy today. When I look at the Ghanaian stand-up comedy space, I ask myself, hey, was it the same thing that they told us was not going to survive? You know, today you have your OBs, you have your Lexis, you have your Jacintas, you have your Fosters, you know, and it's just amazing, you know. I saw somebody post something on Facebook last month that the way the country is hot, you know, it has taken these stand-up comedy shows to sort of like inject some laughter and some lightness in the system. So the person was saying, without this, he doesn't know what would have, like, how it would have been in this system.
Living in the country,
exactly.
Like, at this moment,
you know, now we are seeing the fruits bear, and yeah.
Do you sometimes regret making that sacrifice because of some of the things that have been said about you ever since, you know, you came out to let people know that, you know what, guys, I'm not after anything, but I felt like I've contributed something to this, and you guys should respect that. Do you sometimes regret even making that sacrifice?
Oh, there were certain episodes, you know, which I felt very bad about, you know, which was a bit regrettable. But ultimately, you know, I don't have any regrets at all. I believe that if I had the chance to do certain things I did back then again, probably based on the naivete that I had at the time, I would have repeated the same things, you know, because I've always had that big heart, accommodate so many people, let's try and push, let's try and help as many people as we can. But from a business perspective, I thought, okay, maybe that was where my mistake was, you know. So yes, of course, I've learned from that. So today, I can only try to help a handful to help them establish properly, and then see that they can also extend the help to others, you know, and not to try to help as many people at a go. You know, there were times I were flying like almost about 16 people.
I remember.
Comedians and crew members included, not once, twice, to Tamale and back. And since I did that, till today, nobody has done any proper stand-up comedy show in Tamale. I did that at the time, you know. It's a clarion call. I mean, Ghana is not just Accra. I see the boys doing things in Takwa, in Kumasi, in Sunyane, and it's beautiful. I would wish that we'd get to a point where all the 10, I mean, now we have 16 regions, all the 16 regional divide, there's a comedy show happening everywhere. That is not only going to create a lot of employment for a lot of talented young people in the system. Would you have believed that at a time when they were saying there were no comedians in Ghana, there were the likes of Obi, Lexi, and Jacinth, and they were all there. They didn't drop from the skies. So people need encouragement. You know, people need to be supported. You know, we don't have so many support systems, and that's quite sad. But I believe we'll get there. You know, it's a matter of time. You know, so yeah, that's what.
Which of these boys do you speak to most? The young guys, you can add all of them, but which of them do you know?
I interact with almost, you know, as many as I can. I mean, on Facebook, for example, I interact with Obi, I interact with Lexi, I interact with Jacinta, you know, Foster is my buddy. A lot of names I can't. I mean, James Brown. James Brown was in Germany like earlier this year. We met.
Doing very well,
you know,
himself.
He came to do a show there. I went to watch it. Beautiful. It's like, wow. These were parts of the people. I mean,
I remember.
Who would have thought James, for example, could just stand in front of a white crowd, like European crowd? You know, it all came out of the confidence that some of us try to instill in these boys. Believe in yourself. Believe in what you have. Let's push. You know, and I believe this is what has gotten all of us to this point. Yeah.
If I don't know what the situation looks like, but I know it was once, or you guys were once very best friends at the time, because I know where you guys have come from.
I know where this question.
No, and it's not even directly what he said, and that I want you to respond. But I have been with you guys. If you know, I've seen you guys do all the things you have done over the period, and I know the relationship and how it was. If you have any opportunity or the chance to patch up your relationship with DKB, I know it's not a good one, I know, but if you have the opportunity to patch up that relationship, would you do it?
I don't think there's any problem as it stands at the moment.
Is it?
To be very honest, you know, I don't.
It's either you don't have a problem or he has a problem, or he doesn't.
Maybe it's the other way around. Because personally, I don't have any problems, you know, because I've moved on to so many. Like I've moved on to other things,
stuff,
you know. So I cannot be so fixated on something that happened so many years ago, you know. But it's fine. I mean, anything that involves human beings, that involves people, you know, obviously we would have to expect some of these human differences. But it's fine. For me, and whenever...
Because you mentioned a lot of names, DKB never came up. He was your buddy at the time. You guys had a very good relationship.
Because, I mean, based on what I see, you know, as an outsider, as somebody who is sitting on the fringes right now, watching the space from a distance, you know, this is out of no disrespect anyway, you know, but I'm just trying to say I don't see him so much on the radar. You know, if you want to be very, very blunt, you would say it looks like he's become a bit irrelevant from the point where I knew him. You came from. But that shouldn't be discouraging. You see, it's sometimes you rise, sometimes you fall. I would just encourage him to work harder, you know, because I know he's got it, you know, and he's got a fan base, you know. I would wish that I would see him really top of the radar, but at the moment, that's my feeling. And I could be very, very wrong, you know. I could be very wrong, but I believe that other people are also observing the industry from the fringes, you know, and that's what I see, you know, and it's not out of insults or anything. I'm just trying to be very objective, you know. So I think that perhaps there's a bit of a dip, you know. He needs to be able to prop himself up, you know, and yeah, it's a matter of time. I think could do it, you know, but maybe some of his own utterances too at some point have not helped his own progress, you know. And so, if you want to be a little bit generous to offer some advice, you would say that as a comedian, for example, right? I mean, one piece that he did that I didn't really like, I thought it was very, very sad and disrespectful when he tried teasing Sam Ajitefio of blessed memory. I mean, that was very distasteful, you know, as a comedian. You don't joke with, do you know what will happen to you in 10 years? I mean, nobody is asking anything bad to happen to you, but you see, this is situations. And in Ghana, we know that the arts don't really have a lot of structural support systems. So it's possible for somebody like Ajite, you know, to have gone through, to have entertained us, to have brought so much joy, and still sort of like end up the way he ended up. There's no support. We don't get royalties for what we do here in Ghana as artists, you know, and those who even get, how much do they even get? So instead of trying to tease the person and trying to belittle the person and making him, you know, the man went through a lot. Those of us who, he lived in Koforidua at some point, you know, I knew him in a way. You know, he lived just about 2 neighborhoods away from mine, you know, so I knew him in a way. So when I saw my own friend do that to him, I was very, 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 very sad. And I wasn't even here. I was in, you know, Europe, but I saw it because, you know, I monitor things on social media. These things can make people lose affection for you as an artist, you know. But anyway, I can only offer advice. I'm not God, so I cannot say, yeah, this is why this is this. No, but I can only try to project and try to smell, figure out, okay, maybe this must have caused something, you know. So it couldn't have been that I have been demonizing him or whatever. When was the last time we had that fracas? You know, that's so if after 6-7 years you're still talking about me in that sense, then I feel like you've lost yourself, you know, like, look at you, what have you done? What are you not doing right? It's not about me. I'm not even in the space anymore, if you like, you know. I've been back just for a few days trying to also, you know, do something musical for my fans in Koforidua, my home city, you know. So I didn't really come because of all that, but I mean, you've asked me, so I just have to put it away, you know.
No, I get it. I mean, it's something that it was an opportunity given to him, and he spoke about some of these things, and I wanted, and it's because of the friendship that I saw from back in the day, because I'd been through that process till now.
I don't want to dwell so much on it. And look, trust me, if I really want to delve into this story, there are things that I haven't even said before to anybody that will start coming up, and I don't want that. You know, I really want. It's in the past. Let all of it remain in the past, you know, and let's forge ahead. It would be nice to see a show featuring all these top Ghanaian comedians, you know, yourself, and all the top guys you know, back to back every time. But I don't feel like it's happening so much. Individually, some of them are doing very great, you know, but well, anyway, we'll see.
We'll get there. We'll get there. And since you're still on the comedy thing, you think that most of the comedians, and it's my last question before we move on to the project that you have, do you think, and looking at the backstory of where Chris Rock came from, with, you know, certain things he said that probably didn't go well because he was just using the material, but unfortunately it didn't go well. Now recently we had the same issue in Nigeria where a white comedian made a joke about Davido. They had to come out to actually apologize. Now he's made a certain joke about Sean Kuti's daughter that he had to come and apologize again because he was referring to the lady, the girl, as a dog, you know, in a comedy skit. That didn't go well.
I didn't follow that one.
Yeah, it didn't go well with Sean Kuti, and he's been very, very you know, out front with him.
That's the thing with stand-up comedy.
So I want your advice on comedians now. You sitting on the back. You think that we have to be extremely careful now, making the DKB situation?
I think so. You know, any and everything can be funny. Yeah, any and everything can be funny, but that's why we have ethics, you know. When I started off training as a stand-up comedian, the advice I received from the judges or from the mentors that we had at the time, things like joking about people who stammer, or deaf and dumb people. All these, we were taught that these are very unethical. Because if you are making a joke about, for example, somebody who stammers, and there's somebody in the crowd who stammers, you know, this person will feel very bad. So as a comedian, you have a duty to cater to your audience. You know, don't just be wayward. You know, otherwise you will end up putting in some materials that might have the opposite effect, you know. And I think that in relation to, you know, the conversation we've had just a while ago, these are some of the things that have probably affected the person's craft or his trajectory or his progress. You know, people are not dumb. People are very, very discerning.
Yeah.
You know, and especially the Ghanaian audience, very, very discerning. You know, so you just have to be careful. You know, things to do with politics. You know, it's political jokes can be funny anytime, but you can always measure the atmosphere and the mood of a time and stay away or stay clear of certain materials. It wouldn't mean that you are not courageous or you are not bold, but it will only mean that you are being cautious and you are being smart about things. You know, so.
Awesome. Now let's talk about music.
Yep.
You found love. In fact, in one of your posts you said